Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the FCS PREP Podcast, where I am your host, Dr. Keith Fairclough. And guys, it feels good to be back. I know I've been gone for a little bit of time. I want to say it's been almost close to 2 months, I believe, before any new content's been coming out, aside from like the meditation and the sound videos and things like that. But that all stuff was like pre-planned. But definitely make sure you take a look at that, though. It can really help you with your sleeping. It can help you with your focusing. It can help you with your studying. It can help you with all that good stuff. We're going to be talking about 17 emotions and what they mean. And we're definitely not doing it all in one podcast. And today we're only going to be talking about anxiety. And then the other days we'll probably double up and have 2 emotions with each video from that point forward, because there is a lot to take in. And it's not going to be a quick slapdash type thing. So just stay tuned and stay with us. We'll have a playlist all built out with all of them together. So once it's all done, you have the compilation. You can always refer back to it. You can refer other people to it. And with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and share. Guys, this information can change lives. It can change relationships. It can change jobs. It can change people's finances. It can change people's life. Remember, FCS is improving the world by improving you. And this podcast, FCS PREP, is about real change right now. People want their lives to change right now. Send them the information so they can take it in and start making those changes right now. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about it, right? Before we get into anxiety, I want to give you guys a general, broad overview as far as emotions are concerned, right? And so what are emotions, right? What are they? Are there good emotions? Are there bad emotions? Are there emotions we should feel? Are there emotions we shouldn't feel? Right? These are questions that are out there, and then you probably say, yeah, they're good emotions. Yeah, there are bad emotions. Yeah, there's some that we always want to feel, and there's some that we never want to feel, and we should never feel, and we should run from, and if we have them, there's a problem, right? And I'm here to say, no, not right. Absolutely wrong. I'm flying in the face of all therapy, of all self-help gurus, of all, I'm in your guys' face now. Here we are. No, there are no bad emotions. There are no good emotions. There are pleasant emotions and there are unpleasant emotions. But just because something is unpleasant doesn't make it bad. And just because something is pleasant doesn't make it good. Ooh, I need y'all to catch that one, right? Think about like this. Working out really hard is not pleasant, but that is good for you. Cheating on your wife can be very pleasant. That is not good for you. See what I'm saying? Guys, ultimately, emotions are just signals from our brain that something is going on. That's it. That's all an emotion is. It's literally a messenger from our brain that says, hey, this is something's going on, right? We're categorize it with certain, hormone releases, certain thoughts, certain things. We're categorize it so you kind of get a grip on what's going on. But this is the message. And now we're looking at you, the messenger. What are we going to do? So anxiety comes, hops in your face. Hey, we're not prepared for this event. Boss, what are we going to do? Hey, we're frustrated. We're angry. Not one and the same, by the way. Someone just said something we don't like. Emotions up. Hey, boss, what are we going to do? But too often what happens is we just react. We react. And more often than not, when we react inappropriately. We react wrong. Why? Because we don't get the message that the emotion is sending. If we feel sad, we're like, I don't want to feel that. Let me run from that. I'm anxious. Let me run from that, which only makes it worse. So we keep running from all these emotions. We're like, why is our brain doing this to us? Why are we having panic attacks? Why are we depressed? Why are we sad? Why do we have such anger issues? Why do we have this? Why do we have that? Like, instead of asking ourselves the question, why do we have it? We need to ask ourselves the question, what does it mean? Our brains are not our enemy. And this is the point I was getting to. This is why I think it was so revolutionary from when I heard this. And maybe I'm not the first person to hear this. Maybe this is the first time you've heard this. But if our brain is not our enemy, if our brain's main job is to keep us alive and keep us safe, That means our brain will do absolutely nothing to harm the system, ever. The brain will not do anything to harm the system. It will let you know, the boss, the spirit, the one that owns and runs the body, that something is going on, but it will not do anything to harm the body. And someone might say, oh, what about self-harm, Keith? That's not the brain harming the body. The brain never would harm the body. That's your spirit misinterpreting the message that it's getting. And instead of doing what you're supposed to do to solve the problem, clear the emotion, you then turn to, let me cut myself because I want to get away from this emotion. I want to experience something else, a different feeling, because you've now trained your brain, right? You because with addiction, right? Because you're trying to run from that emotion, whatever that emotion is, right? Maybe it's fear, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's a lack of self-worth, maybe it's a lack of love, whatever that feeling is that your brain's saying, hey, something's going on. Instead of addressing it, it's like, nah, we find our answer at the bottom of a bottle. Nah, well, as we smoke. No, as we inject. No, whatever it may be, because I got to get away from that emotion. I can't deal with it. And then even with suicide, right? The emotion keeps coming. Boom. Hey, something's going on. Something's going on. Something's going on. But instead of addressing it, instead of answering the call, what do? We try to run from it and suppress it and run from it and suppress it and run from it and suppress it until eventually we push it down so long and so hard, and it just becomes so difficult and hard to deal with that people end up killing themselves. They think that's the only way out. And you may think, well, why does the brain keep doing that? Why does the brain keep sending the message? Because there's something wrong. There is something wrong. The brain is sending you the emotional message because something is wrong. And the brain says, I will not go away. I will be here. I will come back. I will get louder. I will keep on keeping on until you address this message, this situation. That's that lie that people say, oh, time heals all wounds. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life, or at least one of them. It's definitely in the top 10. Time heals all wounds, so just give it time. That's a bold-faced lie. If that was the case, people who've been traumatized when they were children wouldn't have any problems as adults. Someone give me the time limit that there is that makes the emotions go away and the message stop coming. That makes the trauma okay and you've processed that and it's all good. Please, someone give me that time limit. Doesn't happen. Will never happen. Ever. Time does not heal anything. The only way to heal from trauma, the only way to get back from anxiety, the only way to overcome hurt, the only way to deal with anger and frustration is to face it head on. It's so important, guys, for us to understand what our emotions are telling us. We've got to be able to make sure we know what our emotions are telling us, because sometimes our emotions tell us something and it's not correct. It's distorted. Why? Because there's probably some maladaptive belief that we've adopted when we were younger, whether we were traumatized, maybe it was a cultural thing, maybe it was a societal thing, or maybe it's a gender thing or whatever. There was something that we adopted that wasn't right, some type of belief or rule that we adopted that wasn't right. Maybe it worked when we were kids, but it does not work as adults. And so now we have to recognize that. So using that same scenario, oh, that man said something to me, he disrespected me. That could go all the way back to a belief that when people disrespect you, it means that they think you're worthless. Because that's what happened when you were a child and your dad used to call you those names, and you couldn't fight back then, but you can fight back now, right? And we can then kind of start reaching back to some of those rules or some of those experiences and really start looking at them and isolate them and change them. And so that we now have beliefs that work better for us. So we can respond like I did before and say, hey, that guy don't even know me. I ain't even worried about him, man. Hey, listen, he's probably got something going on. So what? I'm going to give this man grace. I'm going to give this man mercy. And I'm going to keep it pushing from there, right? As opposed to, heck, no, you ain't finna talk to me that way. Bop, 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 bop. Now you're fighting. Now maybe this guy has a gun. Now maybe you're shot, man. Now maybe your girlfriend's shot. Maybe your kid's shot. Or maybe your friend is shot. Maybe you're shot. Or maybe you go to jail. Or maybe you get the gun away and you shoot somebody. Now you're in jail for the rest of your life. Why? Because there was an emotion that came up, and instead of answering the message and thinking through it and really processing it and getting back to the belief that is generating that perspective, generating those thoughts and those feelings, that message, instead of going back and changing that and be like, nah, that's based off of this my father who was a bum. who used to call me all those types of names. Nah, man. No, I'm not going to live my life like that. I'm not going to be like him, feeling hurt about everything, feeling everything's disrespectful. I'm not going to do that. Respond with anger and aggression. I'm not going to do that. I got to change my ways. Then you start changing that rule and changing that belief. And so now when that message comes up, you don't have to answer like that anymore. As a matter of fact, once you start changing your beliefs, you're going to start changing your emotions as well. Because now if someone does something like that, you can remain calm as a cucumber, right? Cool as a cucumber, right? You don't have to worry about anything, right? Nah, I'm not even worried about him. Someone cut you off in traffic, man, they must be busy. Once you start changing your beliefs, and that's why it's so important and powerful to recognize what our emotions are, what they mean, what they're telling us, so we can actually reverse engineer that and get back to the beliefs and rules that are generating these emotions, these maladaptive beliefs, these maladaptive rules. And that's the beauty of emotions. The message you get, the emotion you get, it's honed in around a certain thing. So now mind you, think like this computer, right? Any computer or device you're on, there's probably millions and millions of lines of code running behind the scenes that you're not even aware of, right? Subcode, subroutines, all those things like that. It's probably so many running behind the scenes. We don't necessarily, when it comes to maladaptive beliefs, or when it comes to at least looking at the machines, talking about that again, technology, you get an error code. The error code has a number on it. Why does the error code have a number on it? Why doesn't it just say error, something's wrong with your computer? Ask yourself that question, why? Why has someone designed a system that says error code 123, error code 396, error code 11782, error code 81EA? Why? Because those error codes, those numbers, those things, those are simple. Those are things that tell you exactly what the error is, where it is, so you can go straight to that area. There's millions of lines of codes and things. There's so many things that can go wrong. If someone just comes and says, my computer is broken, they're going to be like, okay, what's wrong with it? It's broken. There's so many components to a computer, you've got to be specific. Same thing like going to the doctor's office, maybe even a better example. You go to the doctor's office and you go in there and the doctor says, hey, what's wrong? I don't feel well. Oh, okay. What part of you doesn't feel well? Oh, everything. Can you narrow it down a little bit? Like, can you tell me, are you coughing? Is it your chest? Is it your breathing? Is it your brain? Is it your heart? Like, is it your legs? You have to be specific so that the doctor can know exactly what to target. Your emotions are being specific. That's your brain saying it's this code, there's this block of code in you, this belief, right? If you start digging a little bit deeper, it's this belief that's generating this emotion. The brain's not saying it's right. It's just saying that's what it is. So now you can actually go back and start working and fixing those beliefs and change those maladaptive beliefs that you got when you were younger, so you can have a better and healthier life now that you're older. This is the power of understanding your emotions, understanding what they mean. This information can literally change your life, because you can start looking at patterns of behaviors and you can start going back and recognizing, dang, that's where it came from. That's why I do this. That's why I came up with this. I wanted to protect myself. I felt I was always under attack, but now I know I'm not always under attack. As a matter of fact, even if I was under attack, I know how to handle myself. So I don't got to have these guards up all the time. I don't got to feel offended all the time. I can take criticism now. That's the power of understanding our emotions. That is the power of that. And that's why I'm making these videos. Now I've gone on for, gosh, I don't even know how many minutes have gone on so far, but now we're going to go into anxiety, right? And it's going to give you a quick, brief overview of some of the emotions we're going to be talking about in this series. I'm going to try to remember them all, but we're going to be talking about, obviously, anxiety, overwhelm / being depressed, anger, frustration, hurt, righteous jealousy, unrighteous jealousy, happiness, love, confidence, courage. I don't know if I said guilt and shame yet, kind of both together, loneliness, inadequacy. I don't think I'm at 17 yet. Disappointment, and some others. If that adds up to disgust, embarrassment, if it adds up to some other ones, if it adds up to 17, great, I hit it. If not, just stay tuned. They'll all be there, all right? But we're going to be going over 17 emotions. And right now, and the reason why I'm starting out with anxiety is because that tends to be one of the most common emotions. And the reason why is because there's a lot of stuff for you to be anxious about, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to go into it, right? We're going to go into it, right? So what exactly is anxiety? Specifically, the the anxiety are tied to fear, what exactly is the message that generally gives us, right? The message that anxiety generally gives us is that there's something coming up, there's some event or situation coming up that we're not prepared for. Or there is something coming up with variables we're not sure about, and we don't even know if we have the capacity to handle it, AKA the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know if I'm able to handle what's going to happen. And so now what happens, instead of answering that, we leave it to our brain, and it starts coming up with all these different scenarios. Well, this bad could happen, and that bad could happen, and this could happen. And the reason why the brain does that, because again, it's trying to keep us safe. So it has to look at the worst case scenarios. It has to look at all the things. No matter how irrational those scenarios may be, our brain is trying to keep us safe. That's why it goes down that rabbit hole if you don't answer the call, if you don't recognize what it's telling you. So first, let's start with, okay, well, how do we fix that, right? So there's an event coming up that I'm not prepared for. I'm now anxious, right? The feeling of anxiety has come upon me, right? How do I fix that? Okay, great. This is one of the things you could do, right? You got to prepare for the event. Actually, the only thing you could do really, prepare for the event. Prepare for the event, the situation, right? Identify what you need to do in order to make sure that you are ready for whatever's coming your way, right? So these are things that you know are coming your way, right? Maybe it's a big test. Maybe it's a speech. Maybe it's a performance you got to put on. Maybe it's a meeting you got to set up. Maybe it's whatever, right? It's something that's coming your way. You're anxious because like, man, I really lots riding on this, right? Maybe it's a job interview, whatever. You're like, oh, my lot's riding on this. I don't know. I'm so anxious. What if I do this? Find out and identify what you need to do to make sure that you are fully prepared for that event. I promise you, whatever you're doing, strong possibility, it's not the first time it's ever been done, right? The Bible says, in Ecclesiastes, it says, there's nothing new under the sun. It's all been done. Whatever we're doing now, someone did back then. It's all the same. It's all been done before in some way, shape, or form, right? So let that give you some pause and some rest already. That whatever I'm up against, someone's been through it before. Someone's overcome this before. Okay, and now you got to stop, relax, find out, how do I prepare for this event? How do I prepare for the coming situation? Okay, what I got to do is ABC. 1, 2, 3, blah, 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 whatever. Study this, study that, practice in the mirror, whatever you got to do, right? Then once you got that, execute on that plan and continue to execute on that plan, execute on that plan, preferably early. Obviously, if it's last minute, then yes, and you're not prepared, then yeah, there's going to be the whole idea with anxiety is that you really should be prepared for whatever's coming your way, right? Or get prepared for whatever's coming your way. Or we'll get to that part where I talk about the different variables, right? The things that we're the unknown, okay? We'll touch on that in a second. But generally speaking, if you know something's coming, identify what you need to do to prepare. Make sure you prepare. Give yourself the time and the space and the energy, the plan, everything to execute and prepare. And then once you do that, message received. God, we're good. We got it. I know this thing backwards and forwards, right? And if you're really, like, for instance, public speaking, people are terrified technically about public speaking, right? You know, I think it's fine with me, but whatever. But obviously I'm here, right? I've been doing it for a while, but I get it, right? Because there's still sometimes I have like my heart will jump out of my chest when I'm about to get on stage, but then it calms down when I get up there. But long story short, you know, people who are scared of public speaking, just make sure you practice. Practice in the mirror. Practice what you're gonna say. If you're not someone who like reads off the paper, then you know, get your little bullet points and go over each point and then talk it out and talk it out and talk it out and talk it out, right? Till you get comfortable and becomes part of you. If you're someone that does read off a piece of paper, then read off the piece of paper and just do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. I think, guys, you'll be fine. You get message received, it'll go away, right? And that's the beautiful thing about when we answer the messenger and we answer him the right way, it goes away. There's no need for the message anymore. The brain's like, okay, we're good, right? Threat averted, we're good, right? So the first step for things that you know are coming up, situations, prepare for those situations, right? Identify what you need to do to prepare, execute on that plan, and then once you do that, message received, we continue to move on, right? Now, what do we do about the unknown? And someone may ask, how is it possible to prepare for the unknown? How is that possible, right? What you got to do is you got to work on the 5 domains of life. You should be doing this anyways. You should be working on yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. You should be working on all of those areas. We should not be slacking in any of these areas. We should be continuously working to improve on a regular basis. We should be reading books. We should be taking time to meditate. We should be praying. We should be budgeting our money. We should be investing our money. We should be taking time to understand and process our emotions. We should be doing these things on a regular basis every day. We had the video about pre-gaming your day. Right. And I think I said in there, it's like, man, you need like about an hour or so. Some people do it quicker. Right. The important part is the consistency of the growth. So I don't care if we go back to that video and you do just like, hey, I'm going to pick 3 things. I'm only going to spend 5 minutes on each thing. Do it consistently. You're going to grow a whole lot more than anybody else who's doing nothing, or they have that one good week and then now they fall off for the rest of the year. Right. So that consistency is important. Continuously build and build and build your capacity. Because when you build your capacity, you're greater able to handle the things that are unknown. And which actually leads to my last part about anxiety. And that being, there are actually a lot of things that are not surprises. I'm gonna say it one more time. There are a lot of things that are not actually surprises. We get anxious about these things. They're not actually surprises. What it really shows is a lack of preparation on your part. So let me explain something. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. The check engine light went on in my car. And I was like, oh man, that was actually one of the things that happened in April as well, by the way, which obviously cost money. So bear with me. So I was like, oh man, this is so bad. And usually I don't even do this. So I was like, oh man, just seems like I can't get ahead. Like I'm trying and and this and that and that, just have my own little pity party, right? Until I was in the shower and I was trying to do it again. And I said, wait a second, hold up, stop, hold the phone, right? I start talking to myself. I get out of my head, right? And I start talking to myself. I say, homeboy, you have absolutely zero right to complain about anything. This is not a surprise. Sorry, it's not a surprise, homeboy. When you have a car, you know you're gonna have to have repairs from time to time. Ain't no surprise. You have a house, you know the water heater is gonna probably go out at some point in time. That's not a surprise. Your tire busting your car, that's not a surprise. AC goes out, that's not a surprise. Kids need braces, that's not a surprise. A lot of things in life that we want to be in the mully grubs about and complain about and cry about and do all these things are not surprises at all. I told myself, bruh, and here, what's even worse, here's what even got even worse. It really actually snapped me out of it. That's also why it's good to have accountability. And mind you, I'm being accountable to myself in this moment, but it's important to have accountability because that's what I said. One of the things I said was, the worst part about this is you know better and you've known better. Not just in the last couple of days, you've known better for years. For years you knew better. And you did absolutely nothing to prepare. You know Dave Ramsey's program, and I'm not advocating for it or anything like that, although it is a good program, right? But in any case, one of the things he says in there is like, you got to make sure you have an emergency fund. You got to make sure you have an emergency fund, at least $1,000. Some other people say at least should be the most, whatever your highest deductible is, which I actually like that better. Whatever your highest deductible is and whatever bills you got or whatever, it's your house or your car, have that set aside and let that be there for any emergencies. But I knew that. I've known that for years. I've taken 0 steps. So sometimes the anxiety that comes in our life is brought on by ourselves because we did not prepare like we needed to prepare, like we should have prepared. A lot of these health issues we have, I might be talking to somebody, I'm not trying to hurt you, but we got to keep it a buck. There's a lot of these health issues out here that are up here and that we're having them, not because it was a surprise. God, how could you do this to me? Well, God's gonna be like, I didn't do nothing to you, homeboy. You were eating like trash for 20 years. Matter of fact, I held it off for 20 years as best I could. But you kept pushing. So now you got the disease, homeboy. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, wow. I can't believe, but heart disease. And again, I'm not trying to be mean or cruel or anything like that, but that's not a surprise. If I eat terribly, it's a strong possibility I'm going to get sick. I'm going to get some type of disease. If I keep eating processed foods and sugar, I'm probably going to get sick and get some type of disease. That's preventable. That's something we could stop altogether by just eating properly. So long story short, guys, there's a lot of stuff that comes in our life that we become anxious about. I don't even get into relationships and how we hop in, and again, you can look at those videos. People will hop in, start having sex, and the brain gets all twisted, and they wonder why they're stuck to this person, why they can't get this person out their life or out their mind, and why they're so trying to make it work when it wasn't supposed to work in the beginning because they're not compatible. And you have all this anxiety. That's not a surprise. That's not an unknown event. People have been talking about that stuff for decades, for years. You brought that on yourself because of lack of preparation. So this last part of anxiety, you've got to make sure you are prepared. You've got to. It's critical. Are there unknown things that happen? Absolutely. When COVID happened, no one saw that coming. Well, I won't say no one saw it coming, because if you look at the theories or whatnot, someone saw it coming. Lots of people saw it coming, right? Same thing with the economic crash in 2008. Lots of people saw that coming, right? So, long story short, but most people, us regular people, didn't necessarily see any of that stuff coming. So that's the point I'm trying to make. So we got to make sure we are prepared, because even those, and again, no disrespect to anyone who lost someone during COVID or whatnot, but when you look back on the data, a lot of the people that died, a lot of them had a lot of comorbidities. They had a lot of health issues already. So couple that with the COVID, it was just like, dang, right? So obviously I'm not saying it's like, only those people died. Of course, other people died as well. And some people was like, wow, what happened, right? Maybe different things happened. But generally speaking, those that were in good health, taking care of their bodies, doing things like that, at least from my understanding, we're not the ones that were dying in droves and things like that. So long story short, again, kind of getting, dark or whatever. It's not the purpose. I'm not trying to hurt anybody or anything like that. I'm just saying, guys, we have got to prepare. If you answer the call, so when anxiety comes, it's like, oh man, this situation is coming up. I may not be ready for it. Okay, but I have the capacity to handle the unknown. Why? Because I've been building up my knowledge. I've been building up my body. I've been building up my finances. I've been building up my mental fortitude. I've been building up my emotional intelligence, so I know how to move and operate in these different situations and adapt. I know how to do all that stuff. My money is right? I got investments here. I'm diversified. I'm ready for anything that comes my way. Got an all-weather portfolio and everything. So whatever is unknown, it's okay, because I can prepare for that. So that's how you handle anxiety. Some of the physical symptoms and things like that. Let me hop into that real quick. I'm going to wrap this up, because I know this has been going long, right? And maybe I'll just have to do one emotion per video. We'll see. But in any case, physical symptoms associated with anxiety, you got increased heart rate. You got the fight or flight response. You got sweaty palms or sweating. You got trembling. You got shortness of breath, right? So when you're really getting into that mode, you're actually preparing for something to happen. You're literally preparing for something to happen, right? So that, guys, and this again, I think I've already given enough examples, right? So I was gonna go over some different examples of just anxious thoughts or whatnot. I guess I can run through them real quick. Basically, I gotta make sure that I'm prepared for this event, because it's really, really big and it's really, really important, right? We may think something like that, some thoughts associated with it, right? What if I mess up in my speech? What if I forget what to say? What if I trip on the goal line and lose the game? Like, we start thinking about those things. Remember, answer the call. If you're scared about what you're gonna forget, you're forgetting something in your speech, make sure you get enough practice in so you don't, so it's ingrained in you, right? If you're scared about tripping on the goal line, then I want you to practice running through the goal line. Visualize yourself running through the goal line. Get the ball and run through the goal line over and over and over again. Do different moves or whatnot. Prepare. If you're concerned about a big event and it's really, really important, then make sure you're taking the time to be diligent and prepare. Delegate if you need to, do whatever you need to do, but prepare. Guys, that seems to be the take-home message for anxiety. We got to make sure we are prepared. Get the right skills, the right calming skills and coping skills and things like that. Make sure you practice your coping skills. Make sure you practice those before the event happens. 2 reasons. 1, you want to make sure you have that calm state built into you, right? So you can calm down, answer the message, and move the way you need to. Not in fear, but you can move in courage. Move with a logical mind, with a rational mind, right? To practice those skills, the deep breathing. You can always go to the playlist I got that talks about, has deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and meditation. I also got some affirmation videos as well. You can always throw those in, but more so for the skills. That other playlist I was talking about, that's going to be a good one for you. So, all right, guys, that's it, man. That's all I got, guys. I know this has been long, a lot longer than I actually expected. But guys, we got 16 more emotions to go through, so I need y'all to stay tuned. I need y'all to stay locked in because, guys, this information is going to change your life. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, share. We are on a mission to change the world one person at a time because, again, we're improving the world by improving you. But if you really want to experience real change right now, put this stuff into action in your life right now. And I promise you, your life is going to change for the better. All right? So, guys, stay tuned. That's all I got. I love you. I will see you all soon. And y'all have a great, awesome, and blessed day.